Hello, hello. This is the My Artifact episode number maybe 4056, 57. I'm not really sure about the number. Today's date is May 21, 2026. It's been almost like a night at not night actually. It's a morning at 8 a.m. Yeah. All right. Should we jump to the question? So, all right. So, question is, how will you ban the repeated offender? Okay. Okay, first of all, what exactly is this question and why am I asking this question to myself? I wanted to build a app called My Artifact. What exactly is this application? And yeah, basically when you wrote the diary every single day, you cannot able to be write the diary the way that you wanted to. The reason is that your writing speed is much more slower than your thinking speed or thinking thought process. But why does writing speed is kind of like a much more slower? Is because of writing really required a lot of constraint. You need a pen, you need a paper, you need a convenience and things and that and that. And because of all those things, um, after that, a kind of like a somebody is saying that effort, a lot of effort to write the diary. So that's why very less people are kind of like writing a diary or writing a journal. But writing a diary or writing a journal is a very essential thing. It's a self-reflection process. You actually connect with yourself more, and that's what I realized, that what if I could kind of like change the process little bit easier. Like instead of writing a diary, what if we could record a diary, like a audio recorded diary. The audio recording diary, I call that artifact. The stuff that you are kind of like listening right now, this is my artifact. My artifact episode number 4000 and something. I am doing this thing for past 11 year. I am doing this thing every single day. And recording diary, recording artifact, or writing a diary, it's a self-reflection process. You actually connect with yourself more, and because of this thing, I actually connect with myself more. The amount of value that I get from recording artifact is just like amazing, and I can't tell you how much I value that I get. So basically is this thing that the amount of value that I get from this artifact, I wanted to share this value to the people, so that people should supposed to be get the same value. But how do I supposed to be share this kind of like assembly value? By building an application. So my application means my artifact is a kind of like a somewhat something like a YouTube platform. In YouTube platform, you actually kind of like assembly upload your video, other people sees your video. Same thing, you actually record your artifact, other people kind of like listen your artifact. But there is only one catch, is that people not gonna know their name. Dude, my beard is kind of like very, yeah, I have to dye my beard. I'm kind of like looking like old. Okay, yeah. So basically it's this thing that yeah, so I wanted to build this application, so it's kind of like some YouTube platform. So how do I supposed to be kind of like before I wanted to build this application, I wanted to aware of all the possible consequences that will gonna happen. So I went to ChatGPT and kind of like said that this is my app idea and this is kind of like a thing. So suggest me all the possible consequences that might goes wrong. So and suggest me almost like hundreds of questions. So ChatGPT kind of like suggests me hundreds of questions, and this is one of those questions. Now the question actually in the mobile phone, but while recording I cannot do anything at all, so that's why I wrote the question in here. This is the question. By the way, I'm reading this book. I'm reading this book for past, I don't know, month, probably a month or 2 months. I'm kind of like reading this book. It's a very heavy and dense book. Like literally, just like I can't tell you that like there are still almost like 100 pages still remaining. Okay, these are kind of like still pages are still remaining, and I dropped the book. Like basically a couple of days ago. I didn't really wanted to read the book, but then I decided that no, let's read the book. Oh my god, I will gonna complete this book. Maybe still there is still little bit pages are still remaining. Probably could be like a 2-3 weeks. Yeah, I'm reading very slow by the way. Just 10 minute, just a 10 minute. That's it. Not more than that. Whatever. So question is that how do I supposed to be stop or ban the repeated offender? Okay, so basically is this thing I am actually my application actually providing the privacy, means no user will kind of like somebody share their details and things and that only their story. So because of this thing, if I'm kind of like providing the privacy, people might gonna utilize that privacy for very wrong purposes, hate speeches, political agenda, religious speeches, and things and that, which is kind of like somebody is this thing that like basically it's not really right. Like I'm not saying that it's right. It's not right for my platform. Like if you wanted to kind of like whatever the opinion that you have regarding about the government, religion, or things and that, there is a other platform available. YouTube, Instagram. You do that over there. Okay, yeah. Twitter too. Okay, yeah. Twitter is really good. Like you are kind of like somebody credibility might be kind of like somebody share with the people, which is really good. Okay, so Twitter is really good, but not my platform. Okay, Artifact is a kind of like a somebody that key improve the personality, improve the person. Okay, you actually kind of like a connect with yourself, and that is what I want. Okay, obviously people might have kind of like a little bit opinion regarding about something, and yeah, I wanted to kind of like somebody this thing my platform will be kind of like a let them people will kind of like express their opinion regarding about that. But just opinion, if your opinion is a kind of like a something is this thing that key like okay, yeah, let me tell you one thing that I'm living in India. Government and politician and religion, I do have opinion regarding about that, and I did share this opinion in my Artifact. That is for sure, that is true, but not every single time, na. Okay, yeah, like if I kind of like share my opinion, that is okay, but I also think that na ki why do I supposed to be care about that? Like I don't know how do I supposed to explain this thing. Is this thing na ki like I usually think that na ki is this opinion is kind of like a really matter to me? Like is it kind of like a really affecting me? Like something happened, then what do I supposed to do with that? What does it really affect me or not? Yeah, I do have a opinion. I do share my opinion, but kind of like a hate speeches and things and that I did that, but I don't know, yeah. It's a kind of like a thing is that na ki Artifact. I made the Artifact for kind of like a dumping all your thoughts and things and that, and probably that thoughts might be kind of like a sometime really hateful too. That is really true. But if you are doing this thing once, that is okay. But if you are continuously doing this every single day, then it's not really good, na. Why is not really good? It's not really good for my platform, as well as it's not really good for you too. Because of that na ki Artifact is a kind of like a such a thing that whatever you say, it affect on you. It became your reality. If you are kind of like a talking about religious political speeches every single time, somewhat something that you might have kind of like a somebody associate with that particular stuff. Like I don't know, I'm trying to tell you is this thing that na ki Artifact is a kind of like a pencil that you have. You can draw the beautiful painting if you want, or maybe you could stab somebody. And I don't want that ki you kind of like utilize this pencil for stab somebody. I don't want that. I want that if you have this pencil, then draw the beautiful painting. Yeah, in your painting might have a kind of like a little bit opinion regarding about something, but not a kind of like a somebody you are attacking something. You just kind of like a sharing your thoughts and things and that. I want that. Yeah, I made this platform for that. But if you are doing this thing every single day, then that is wrong. You're not only spoiling yourself, but you're spoiling the community, and I don't want that. Okay, now basically is this thing that ki it's a kind of like a thing that na ki people will utilize this thing for very wrong purpose. That is true. There is a kind of like a platform which is kind of like established in, maybe I'm not really sure, but in 2010 or 11 there is an app. I'm not really sure the name of that app. So what exactly is this application? This application is a very cool idea, by the way. It's actually launched in US. It's not launched in India. This app is a kind of like that ki you are actually connect with your location people. Okay, like basically this thing, what is that this thing, since you have this application, you could see that how many people is actually around you with on this application, and you could share the text or kind of like a things and that वगैरह. It's a community kind of like a some community kind of like a things like a, if something wrong happened, like basically let's just say that ki like the kind of like a road is actually blocked on this crossway section, then other people kind of like realize that ki, okay, it's a kind of like a somebody is this thing that he community or kind of like a somebody location community kind of like a people, it's getting the information regarding about what exactly happened in the community, which is really good. The idea is kind of like a really good and really great and things and that. They have kind of like a same thing is that ki, I'm not really sure, but probably their user profile is kind of like a hidden. Okay, they could able to be share the photos and text and things and that are in that particular community. It's a kind of like a somebody group. It's a kind of like a somebody group, a WhatsApp group probably, but the member is actually changed according to the location. So if you went to the another kind of like a place and you kind of like entered into that kind of like a group of location, a cluster maybe, automatically you actually entered and you could kind of like see what exactly happened and things and that. It's a kind of like a somewhat something a WhatsApp message and things that people are kind of like sharing text or things and that. It's a kind of like a group kind of like a thing. The user profile is a kind of like a hidden, by the way, for the privacy purposes and things and that. Now the idea of that application is really good, really great. Okay, they got the funding too, but the problem is that na people are kind of like utilizing this thing for very wrong purposes, like a very wrong. People are kind of like somebody sharing the like a dick photo, like literally dick photo of themselves. They are kind of like sharing like a very nasty messages and things and that. Like literally that entire platform is kind of like became just spoiled. Like literally people are kind of like putting a lot of shit stuff over there, like because of the people kind of like get the kind of like somebody their private, their identity will not gonna get violated. So people are kind of like sharing so many nasty stuff, like so very wrong. Like basically the purpose of the app actually built to kind of like getting the community to know about what exactly happened over there and things and that. This is not that. Like people are kind of like sharing such a very bad thing that's like a really wrong. And basically when this actually happened na, that application shut down, the app is kind of like a shutdown, everything actually shut down. The app is really good, by the way, the idea is really good, but the people kind of like utilize for wrong reason. The reason I realized that na ki the privacy, because of the user kind of like get the privacy, then people are kind of like talking, like people are kind of like sharing so many kind of like details, some very shit stuff. And that is true, that is definitely true. And it will definitely happen with my platform too. Because of that I'm building this artifact, and people will utilize, definitely people can utilize for very very wrong purposes. Even if like basically what I'm trying to tell you is this thing that na ki right now I'm talking very filtered probably if I'm saying, but at the early stage of artifact is a kind of like so pathetic. I don't know what I was kind of like recording and things and that, and it's just so stupid. And I might kind of like some this thing that ki like I did really stupid shit I recorded, and I'm not really proud for that ki I kind of like recorded that. So basically is this thing that ki like at the beginning people not know what exactly they are kind of like recording and things and that, and people will gonna talk shit, they will gonna talk shit. So basically how do I supposed to be kind of like somebody fix that thing? So I have a kind of like a couple of things, okay, to kind of like figure it out, that particular kind of like a shit that he, the people will not gonna spoil the community or spoil my application. So how do I supposed to fix that thing? So basically is this thing, I have to maintain the privacy, but also maintaining that key people will not gonna talk about shit too. Okay, so how do I supposed to kind of like thing? So first of all is that ki when the user will kind of like record the artifact, there is a warning screen actually appear. In that warning screen, it says do not mention your name, your kind of like a location or any kind of like identity, or do not like a or also is this thing, do not talk shit probably, like kind of like a really very good in a way, so that people understand that ki, okay, we shouldn't supposed to do this, it's a warning screen. Okay, then people will kind of like a record the artifact, and they will kind of like a somebody, hopefully they will not gonna kind of like a talk about their details and things and that, and then they will kind of like a talk really good, hopefully. Yeah. Okay, I have hope. But people will gonna utilize this thing. Okay, now after the record, what exactly happened, I was actually thinking that na ki user should supposed to be listen their own artifact first, and then they will kind of like a publish the artifact. It's a kind of like a really good, because when you are kind of like a listening your own voice, then you realize that ki like basically it's this thing that ki it's really good that ki, okay, I have to be kind of like a somebody that ki should you supposed to be like a, basically it's this thing na ki when we record the artifact, we don't know that what we are kind of like a talking. Yeah, like basically it's this thing, most of the time we just kind of like a somebody, when we are when we are talking, we just talking, we are not listening. We are listening, but it's just not like that. Okay, we are not listening from user point of perspective. But when we record and when we kind of like listen our own voice, we realize that ki how wrong or fuck I was. So basically you cannot able to be proceed further if you not listen the entire artifact. You have to be listen your entire artifact, and only then you will kind of like upload the artifact in the platform, which will kind of like simply prevent the all the nasty stuff. Okay, yeah, because people are genuinely really good and they understand what is actually right and wrong. And if they are kind of like listening their own voice, and they realize that oh, I was so wrong in that particular thing, then they will not gonna proceed further, and they will not gonna kind of like share their kind of like somebody this artifact and things and that, which is kind of like somebody that he making sure that my platform will not kind of like a happening such a like they will not gonna utilize this for wrong such something stuff. Now another thing is that na ki like basically is this thing that ki I was actually thinking that ki if I implement that, if I kind of like said that ki let the user will kind of like listen their own artifact first and then they upload their artifact, then it also add constraint to like from company point of perspective, what exactly happened now, then people will not gonna upload their artifact. Why? Because of that na ki they always think that na dude, I kind of like a talk pathetic, and then I will not gonna record again, and then that artifact will kind of like a save in the draft and things and that. So basically at the beginning probably is this thing that ki I shouldn't supposed to be kind of like have this feature that ki people should supposed to be kind of like a listen their own artifact first. But then I understand that ki no, yeah dude, let the user kind of like listen their own artifact first. Let them kind of like a things that na ki like if they are proud, then they will kind of like proceed further. If they are kind of like somebody like I was actually thinking that na ki I should supposed to be have this feature that ki let the user will kind of like listen their artifact first. Okay, yeah. Like that is really good. Like at least it's a kind of like a thing na, it's a kind of like a YouTube platform now. Like how does kind of like a YouTube platform is kind of like so good is because of that ki YouTube platform is like every creator who kind of like upload the video, that video should supposed to be kind of like a seen first. Okay, it's not really that ki YouTuber does not really kind of like seen the video and they just upload the video as it is. No, it's not. They kind of like listen their artifacts, they listen their kind of like a video, they listen and things like that, and they try to fix that thing. Obviously I want the user should supposed to be listen the artifact, which is really true. I wanted that. Yeah, I have to be implement this thing. Yeah, it's not really that ki user kind of like directly upload their artifact. No, it's I don't want that. I want that ki user should supposed to be kind of like somebody listen their own artifact first and then they proceed further. Obviously is this thing, if the user wanted to trim out that particular some sort of segment, then they will. But at the like basically I will not gonna implement right now means like that at the beginning, like at the beginning I might have kind of like a things that na ki let the people have a kind of like a somebody upload their artifact. If I realize that ki they are kind of like a utilize this thing for wrong purposes, then they will. But dude, they will na, like they will like they will talk shit. That is a one truth. Another truth is that ki they will utilize for wrong purposes. Yeah, because it's a privacy and violate and things and that they will gonna talk shit, and at the beginning they will gonna talk shit because I did talk shit too. I have to be add this feature. Like it's a default that this shouldn't supposed to be changed. Because let me tell you one thing. Now yesterday I was kind of like thinking that like it kind of like add a lot of constraint, so that I would not gonna kind of like have this kind of like a thing that like not gonna implement that thing. But that is completely wrong. Yeah, I have to be kind of like let them have this feature. Because if I kind of like a thing that if like basically if the people are kind of like somebody just not have this feature, and people kind of like just directly upload their artifact, then after I realized that no, this is kind of like a really bad, then I have added this feature. Then what exactly happened, that chaos is already happened. Okay, yeah, maybe I kind of like a loss, I kind of like a facing a lot of losses and things, and already kind of like somebody the like at the beginning it's a very like basically I have to choose more popularity plus more chaos, means worse artifact and things and that, or maybe kind of like somebody is this thing that less popular but very good quality of content. What do I choose? Like a big like a high like a basically is this thing that like a bad quality of artifact plus higher viewership, or good quality of artifact less viewership? What do you choose? I have to be choose like a good quality of artifact. Okay, yeah, good quality of artifact. I might have kind of like a very less viewership, but probably it will not gonna create chaos. This will create chaos because obviously I will have a lot of user, but it will create the chaos, and when it create the chaos, then it's very difficult for undone things. Okay, yeah, yeah. So probably I have this feature. Let the user kind of like listen their own artifact first, and then and only then they will kind of like things, because it prevent a lot of stuff. Probably this would be kind of like a much more better. And after the kind of like somebody listen, user are kind of like a very much sure that they will kind of like talk really good, and they are really sure that they will kind of like wanted to share these things. Because of this thing now, I'm kind of like making sure that they will not gonna share their details. Another thing is that they will not gonna talk shit, because they are kind of like verifying their own artifact. So I don't have to be kind of like do this thing by myself. Okay, yeah, at the beginning. Okay, then after that I would have kind of like a AI and things and that, and then they will kind of like try to figure it out and things and that. But at the beginning I might have kind of like people should supposed to be listen their own artifact and first. That would be, if I have this edit feature over there, this would be kind of like even more better. But at the moment, like at the beginning, I will not gonna have this edit feature. Okay, probably it will kind of like basically this thing. Let's just kind of like things that let them listen. Okay, in the future I will kind of like upgrade like a AI, then kind of like somebody edit feature and things and that I will gonna implement later. First of all is that I just have to kind of like make sure that does people kind of like somebody record the artifact or not. Okay, and they will not gonna utilize for wrong purposes. This is the kind of like things. So having this feature that user should supposed to be kind of like listen their own artifact, this would be kind of like a much more kind of like assembly that key bottleneck for the people who are kind of like utilizing artifact for wrong purposes. Okay, so this kind of like a feature. If the user are kind of like still kind of like somebody utilizing like still kind of like people are kind of like utilizing artifact for wrong purposes, then I have to be take the action. Maybe I'm not gonna block their artifact or handle. I would be suspend their handle for at least like a week or two, so that, and also making sure that the difficulty of kind of like doing this thing would be kind of like something like basically this thing they will kind of like talk shit, but they will recommend to the less of user, and probably like they will kind of like talk shit in empty room. Probably this would be kind of like a much more better explanation. Yeah, but one thing is that I have to be implement this thing. I have to be that let the user will kind of like listen their own artifact first. Yeah, that is a very much true. I might have kind of like a less growth, but I will kind of like get the quality of artifact, not a kind of like a things and that probably. Okay, like basically let the user kind of like decide, because if the kind of like only user will kind of like at the spur of the moment they kind of like publish and things and that they might think that dude like it's a very wrong thing, and yeah, like probably this thing let the user will kind of like listen their own artifact, and after the listen they will kind of like okay, I'm good now, I'm proceed further. This would be kind of like a much more better. All right, so this is it.